When I was going about doing my day-to-day stuff, like mucking out, riding the horses, working on the yard, I used to be dreaming about riding a Grand Prix. It was like this massive thing in the distance. But on Sunday, that all changed. But before we get into all that, let's go back a few steps. So last year, I went with the FEI to the World Cup final in Sweden, and we were doing some filming there. And I remember walking into the stadium for the first time and seeing the arena, and oh, it's amazing. Like, just seeing it all, it made it all so much more real. And I was like, I want to go here, I want to compete here. And before that, I used to avoid going to big shows. Even if I got invited, I was like, oh, I'm not really sure. Because it kind of made me feel like, well, what if I don't make it there? And it made it all a bit more real and a bit more raw, and the disappointment a little bit higher. So I kind of tried to avoid it. And then I felt ashamed because I tried to avoid it, and it just built so much like negative emotion around something that was like a huge dream for me. But when I went there because I was working and it was a job and I was like, I need to do this, I thought, what have I been doing? I can't believe I've been ignoring this. It kind of has given me that inspiration. It put that fire in my belly to go out and push myself to achieve that dream for myself, not just to be sitting in the stand watching and filming, which, don't get me wrong, I love doing, but to actually get in that arena and do it myself. So how did I go from wanting to do it there to actually doing it on Sunday? There's a few practical things that I did, and this is going to sound so cheesy, but the first one is aim for the stars and you'll land on a cloud. And I know it's a bit cringy, but what I mean by this is I was so scared to push myself to go really high in case I didn't make it. I wasn't actually pushing myself at all. So I was here when I was trying to aim it here. But if I pushed myself to go there, then I could have even like managed to get midway, if that makes sense. And if you just sit there and think, no, it's not going to happen, then it's definitely not. But if you go, regardless of whether I fail, regardless of whether I'm going to mess up, I'm going to push myself to try, you're going to get way further. The other one as well that I had to learn, and this was definitely a difficult one for me, was to be happy with good enough instead of perfection. And I think in the dressage world, perfection is very difficult. No one's ever got 100% in a test yet. Yeah, they get 10s for certain movements, but 100% has not been achieved. So I had to go for good enough, especially through the learning process, because when you learn something for the first time, it's never going to be spot on. And if I kept worrying about the perfectionism, I wasn't again going to try. And the last thing as well that I did is I really prioritised my training. So I begged Carl, who helps me, to give me more lessons, just to help me more, because he's so inspiring, he's so knowledgeable, and he's been there and done that, and it's helped so much. And then I also got a trainer at home to help me, and just merging those two things has had a massive impact. So the run up to this test was far from ideal. A couple of weeks, actually I'd say like 5 weeks before it, Wilf got a sore back. And it was around Christmas time, so the physio couldn't come out, nobody could come and check him to see what was wrong, and that was really frustrating because I was worried if I was going to be able to compete or not. He just didn't feel quite right, and I didn't want to push him through that. I wanted to kind of honour him, respect him, and just wait till he was 100%. And then I got a virus when he had just come back into work, and I couldn't ride because I was dizzy and bumping into walls. So that was frustrating, and I was like, it's getting closer and closer, and I'm not ready. So what I did, and I'm not saying this is the best setup for a test, but I'm just being completely honest and real with you guys, is I literally just buried my head in the sand to the fact that I was about to do my first Grand Prix. I was like, it'll be fine. I was like, I'm not going to run through it, because I was so worried that I was going to run through it and they'd be like, I don't want to go, I'm not ready, and like kind of back out. So I was like, I'm just going to go into it a little bit blindly, which, like I said, I'm not sure that's the right thing to do, but that's kind of how we did it. I feel like I fumbled my way into it, which is fine. So that happened, and then a couple of days, or like say a week before I was going to go and do it, I started to practice the different movements, and they felt quite good, and it all seemed like I did feel ready. And then I had a lesson with my trainer at home, and we ran through some stuff, and I was like, oh no, it didn't go 100% to plan. And I think if that had happened like 2 years ago with my mindset, I would have been like, I'm not going, I don't want to do it, I'm not good enough. All this stuff would have come flooding back. But because I feel like I'm quietly confident now, and I trust the horse, I trust the training we've put in like long term, I was a little bit happier with it. So we had a tough lesson, but I went, no, okay, I've got tomorrow, I can ride him, and then we've got a test. So the next day I rode him before the test, and it went a lot better. It was a lot more positive, and I did feel ready to go and do it, even though I hadn't run through it. So the day arrived of the test, and I was driving there, and I was getting really, really nervous, and I think that's just the fear of the unknown. Also, I had Carl in the warm-up with me, and I think I was a little bit insecure, a little bit worried that he's going to be like, what on earth is she doing in the warm-up, because I've never warmed up for a Grand Prix, so I'm not sure what was going on. But actually, when I got in the warm-up, Carl said that we're both here to have a nice time. I'm here to go and trot around it and relax and have a nice time, and so are you, there's no difference. And that was just super encouraging to have an Olympian there, even though it was a really small show. It was really special for the first one. So I went down to the holding arena, and it was getting closer and closer to doing it. And then, yeah, I went in and I told myself I'm just going to ride each movement individually and kind of take it step by step so that it doesn't all come up too quickly. And then, yeah, we did it. And don't get me wrong, it was hard, and it was like a baby one, and it wasn't, it wasn't what I wanted it to be, but I got round, I did everything, I didn't go wrong. There were some real highlights. We got our ones, and we actually got an 8 for that, which was really exciting. And I got round, and obviously there's things that I want to change, things I want to improve, but I did it. And then I came out and had a little celebration with the team. And I think I said to Carl, I was like, oh, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. And he was like, yeah, you did it. And it was just really, really special. Is it rolling? We found Mum on the yard, and I wanted to ask, what did you think of the Grand Prix?
I thought there was lots to work on, but it was a very good start.
Were you emotional?
Yes, I was very proud, Mummy.
This is the reason I did it. This is the one that helped
right,
me.
That'll do.
Oh,
try not to be over nice. It's not good for relationships.
Everyone, thanks. I really like it. So the other reason this is super special is the horse that I did it on. If you guys follow my YouTube channel, you'll know the troubles I had. But if you didn't, I'll explain. So I did my first Grand Prix on my special little boy, Wilfred, aka Sausage. And he has not been the easiest horse. He is the sort of horse you just can't make mistakes on. And yeah, we've just had really, really tricky times. I really doubted that it's been possible. Somebody once said to me that he wouldn't get past elementary. And they told me to sell him, to give up on him, because he hadn't got the brain for it. He also wasn't like physically that capable. And that, at the time, I wouldn't say it spurred me on to be like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I really like believed in him, and I wanted to do the best for him. And yeah, I guess that's sort of what we've been going with. And he really made me like change my mindset, improve myself, because I knew that he just fed off my negativity. He fed off my, that I didn't really believe in myself. And I just think horses pick up on that. So I had to change my mindset for him. It wasn't for me. I did it to help him. And then, yeah, we've managed to get to Grand Prix and do incredible things. And I know that he's going to keep improving at it, and we're going to keep getting better. So yeah, it's just extra special. Keep eating. So as expected in your first Grand Prix, it didn't go completely smoothly. Where Wilf is new to this and a little bit weak is in the passage and piaffe, and I knew that going into it, and I know that we need to just build strength in that, but I wanted to go and have a go still. But the thing that I really struggle with is down the last centre line, because he's tired already, because it's getting to the end of the test, the passage wasn't as strong. And then the one thing that I hadn't practiced with him was actually piaffing at X, and that's where I needed to be a little bit more prepared. But anyway, he got to X, and that's where we always halt in every test. So he was like, okay, we stop here, Mum. And I was like, oh no, we need to keep going. So normally in these situations, I'd be like, oh no, I've messed up. I'm just going to give up and kind of not salvage out of it. But what I thought was, I need to kind of show him, no, we need to put a little bit of effort in here. We need to keep going. So I just encouraged him to get a few steps of piaffe. It was really not perfect. It was messy and it's not ideal. But again, it's the mindset stuff of not giving up, especially in the arena. The horses have to learn, and you, to not give up. You have to keep pushing through, and that's what we did. We got that, and then I just felt like I'd achieved more than if I'd just gone, nope, it's awful, let's just stop. The other thing that I was a little bit nervous about was posting the video of me doing the whole Grand Prix, and the reason I was is because it's amazing putting the really good bits out, because you're like, yeah, you're proud, and it's nice to watch, and I think it's good to watch for your training because it installs that confidence. But posting the bits out that are not so good is quite tricky, and I think because I'm quite a sensitive character, I get a little bit worried if someone makes a bad comment about it, that it's gonna push me down a little bit and make me doubt myself. But the reason I push through that is because I think it's really important, and it's kind of why I started doing the vlogging, to show the reality of the journey. Because if someone's looking to do a Grand Prix or aspiring to do that, and they see this perfection, which hopefully I'll get closer to one day, but if they see this amazing video of this test, it's like 85%, they can be super inspired by it, of course, but then also be like, that seems really unattainable, and I don't know how they've got from, you know, I don't know, doing their first Grand Prix to that. So my goal was really to show the ups and downs, and I've had to be really brave to do that. But I felt like there was sort of a gap in the market, and I really look up to like Carl and Charlotte and the top riders, especially when I was at the World Cup. And of course I get inspired by watching their tests, but there was a little part of me that was like, I always looked at them being like, well, they don't struggle. They haven't had a tough test. They haven't had mistakes. And it's just me. But I really just wanted to show the reality of like, it does happen. And not everybody puts it on camera, but I think that's kind of my place in the equestrian world, is to be brave, to be courageous, and to put it out there. Yeah. So that is the gist of my experience doing my first Grand Prix. But I wanted to just give a little bit of advice if anyone's aspiring to get to that level. So I think it's really important, like I said before, to reach high, aim for those goals. Don't kind of feel like you couldn't make it. But as well, on the flip side of that, I think it's really important to have someone holding you accountable, because it's very easy sometimes to get like blurred vision of exactly where you are. And I think you need that outside perspective of someone to be like, you know, you need to improve in this area, you need to train in this area, do this. And that's why, you know, no one makes it to the top by themselves. I think it's really important as you find it, when you're finding that mentor as well, that you make sure that they're not just teaching you, taking your money and not really caring. I think you've got to find someone who really does want to help you and wants you to get where you want to get and believes in you. And that doesn't mean if they tell you like a bit of a hurtful truth, you know, where a constructive criticism, but one which sometimes they're like, oh, it doesn't mean they don't care about you. Sometimes it means they care even more, but just to be open-minded with it, to not kind of have the wool pulled over your eyes with it, but also find someone that really does care. And I think just don't settle for someone that you know doesn't really care. I think there are trainers out there that want people to do well, and you've just got to keep trying to find them. I'm really lucky that I have trainers that I know back me 100%, believe in me, and just want to push me to be the best I can. So now I want to hear from you guys, and this is where you jump into the comment section. I want to hear what your equestrian dream is. I want to hear how long you think it's going to take you, and also if there's one thing that you feel is sort of holding you back, what it is and how you're going to improve on it. So get commenting. I love reading them, and I will reply to as many as I can. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, drop your comment in, and make sure to subscribe to the FEI, because we're going to be bringing you so many more videos, and I'll see you for the next one.